Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down this NHL DFS slate for Tuesday, October 18th. We got ourselves an 8-game slate here tonight where I'm going to go through a couple of my favorite line stacks, some of my favorite individual plays, and some of my favorite value plays, and then we'll wrap up the video talking a little prize picks. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And like we always do, we're going to kick things off here in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals. We got another one of these games coming in with an implied total of 7 goals between the Sabres and Oilers. 3 of these games coming in at 6.5. 3 at 6 goals, and then just one game there between the Sharks and Islanders coming in at 5.5 goals. Take a look down here at the Vegas odds. Lightning, Oilers, Islanders, and Devils all sitting really nice on the money line, and it looks like we could have some tight games here tonight as well. With all that said, let's dive into a couple of my favorite line stacks here for this 8-game slate, starting with that first line for the Tampa Bay Lightning. We got points centering Hagel and Kucherov. Now, Tampa started their first 3 games of the season on the road, ended up just going 1-2 in those first 3 games, so now we're seeing them shuffle their lines as they do go back home. We had seen Steven Stamkos play on the left wing here with Point and Kucherov, and as much firepower as there is with those 3, it makes sense for them to kind of spread out their depth a little bit. And I still like Hagel here on the left wing, especially at that price of $4,000. You'll see him play big minutes with these 2 5-on-5 and get time on that number 2 power play. Point and Kucherov, those are the main 2 here that we're targeting. If you wanted to mix in someone like Victor Hedman over Brandon Hagel, 100% okay with that as well. I like Hedman in general here tonight. You will have to pay up for him at the defensive position, but a guy who should log 24 plus minutes and play on that number 1 power play with Point and Kucherov. Now, these guys haven't been fantastic to start the year. They haven't been horrible. They have 1 goal, 4 assists between the 3 in their first 3 games, but this seems like a get-right spot for them at home against the Philadelphia Flyers. And yes, I know the Flyers are 2-0 under John Tortorella, but they also played the Vancouver Canucks and New Jersey Devils. This Tampa Bay Lightning team is going to present a much bigger challenge than those first 2 teams did. And then another line stack I like here tonight is that second line for the New Jersey Devils. We got Hughes centering Sharangovich and Bratt. Now we're seeing the Devils actually shuffle their lines heading into this game as well. And I really like that they put Hughes and Bratt together. Similar situation here. If you wanted to fade Sharangovich and go with someone like Dougie Hamilton to stack up with these guys who all play on the number 1 power play, by all means I'm okay with that, and probably something I'll be doing here tonight myself. Sharangovich doesn't look to be getting any time on the second power play either, but very affordable there at $3,100 and easy to justify with Hughes and Bratt. But these are the primary 2 that I'm targeting here. The chemistry between these 2 in the past has been good, but they haven't always played together. I will say that. I love the matchup for them at home here, though. This also seems like a get-right spot for them against the Anaheim Ducks, who are not only playing on back-to-back nights after playing the Rangers last night, but this team has allowed 17 goals in their first 3 games to start the season. Now, folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Also, if you have Discord, don't be afraid to join my channel. We got a lot of people talking hockey in there, got some people talking football, and I'm always happy to create new channels and just talk DFS and sports betting in general. But appreciate you all for tuning into this video. Now let's get into these individual plays here. And we're going to kick off those individual plays with the forwards here, starting with Connor McDavid. And I probably should mention, if you're looking to join my Discord, link in the description below to do so. But yeah, McDavid here, hard not to talk about this guy, right? And maybe I don't even need to do so. We all know who Connor McDavid is in the NHL. Off to a great start this year, scored a hat-trick in his first game, added an assist, scored another goal in his second game against the Calgary Flames, has 4+ shots in each game as well. This guy has the best ceiling on this slate, we know that, but he's still too affordable here in my opinion at $8,600, and that likely will make him more popular. But on an 8-game slate like this, it is easy to get contrarian. He's got a good matchup at home here against the Buffalo Sabres, where he by all means can have a multiple point night. Hell, it don't matter who the matchup is, really. Connor McDavid can score against anybody. But yeah, $8,600 here, too cheap in my opinion. He realistically should be in the $9K range. Now, there is some really nice value in the $5 to $6K range here tonight. For example, a guy like Jonathan Huberdeau is only $6,100. And although he only has 1 assist in his first 2 games with the Calgary Flames, that's someone who's got 25, 30 plus DraftKings point upside. So a lot to love about the forward position on this 8-game slate. However, I mentioned it yesterday, I mentioned it last week. If you're going to keep giving me Adrian Kempe in the low 5K range or mid 5K range even, I'm going to take advantage of that. Now, the only downfall I see with him here tonight is he is playing on back-to-back nights. I don't necessarily love that, but this is still a young guy here. I'm not too concerned about it. He's got 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points in his first 4 games, has now hit 14 plus DraftKings points in 3 of those games, showing a ceiling of 31 DraftKings points just a couple of games ago. Plays on that first line, plays on the number 1 power play, and like I said, just too cheap here in my opinion. I then got Troy Terry there of the Anaheim Ducks, who's also playing on back-to-back nights, but another young guy to where I'm not too worried about that. I kind of just like targeting this game in general between the Devils and Ducks here tonight. Think there's some high-scoring shootout potential there. You can see in the notes off to the right-hand side, I do believe that the Lightning and Oilers will be the 2 popular teams to target tonight, and while I'll definitely have exposure to those guys, obviously, talked about that first line for Tampa and talked about Connor McDavid, I also really like the New York Islanders and the New Jersey Devils, maybe run it back with some of these Anaheim Ducks. They're going to come in at lower ownership, but have some really nice upside. And Troy Terry, I kind of like pairing him with Trevor Zegras at $5,500. Both those guys play on the second line and number 1 power play. Could even mix in someone like John Klingberg at $4,600, who plays on the number 1 power play. But Terry here, off to a great start, really picking up where he left off last year. He's now got 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points in his first 3 games to start the season. Now, when I first started building this spreadsheet last night, I was looking for Elias Lindholm in the 6K range, just could not find him whatsoever. I go, okay, well, maybe he's in the 7K range. No, here he is at $5,300, and I have no idea why. Sure, Vegas is off to a good start who they're playing tonight. They're 3-0, but I'm not too worried about that, especially at this price here. This is a guy who's coming off a season where he had 42 goals, 40 assists, 82 points in 82 games. Now he's playing with one of the best playmakers in the game in Jonathan Huberdeau. I'll take this price all day long. I don't care who the matchup is against. You're going to see him play up on that first line, play on the number 1 power play, and should log about 18, 19 plus minutes here tonight. And as I just mentioned, I kind of like the New York Islanders here tonight in general as well, and a good home matchup against the San Jose Sharks, who are 0-4 to start the season, allowing 3.5 goals per game. I could go with any one in the top 2 lines here for the Islanders. You got Matthew Barzal centering that first line. He's $4,700 here tonight. I thought he was interesting, but I ended up highlighting Brock Nelson here at $4,800. You're going to see him center that second line and play on the number 1 power play. Now, he does not have a goal so far this year, albeit they've played just 2 games. He did find the score sheet on both games, and I'm not concerned about him not finding the back of the net, because this is a guy who plotted 37 goals last year in 72 games. So I'm not saying that he's due for a goal here in Game 3 because it's early in the season, but he very well could find the back of the net and get on the score sheet multiple times in this good matchup. Now, moving over here to the defensemen, and as I mentioned earlier, I have no issue spending up for a guy like Victor Hedman of the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's $7,100 here tonight. I don't mind spending up for a guy like Zach Werenski, either of the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's only $5,200, but usually anything above 5K, I say that's spending up for a defenseman. Dougie Hamilton, I kind of talked about him earlier as well. If you want to match him up with Hughes and Brad on that number 1 power play, I really like that in a good matchup at home against the Anaheim Ducks. Now, Dougie Hamilton, after he returned from that jaw injury last year, just never really got back to his offensive ways. This is a guy who loves to shoot the puck and find himself on the score sheet pretty frequently. He was riding a roller coaster once he returned from that injury last year, but has got back to his shooting ways here early on this season. He's got 3+ shots in each of his first 2 games, with 1 goal and 1 assist, coming fresh off a game where he had 21 DraftKings points. That's the offensive side that I'm looking for out of Dougie Hamilton. And then it will be a similar strategy here with Noah Dobson of the New York Islanders, stacking him up with guys or forwards like Brock Nelson, who play on that number 1 power play, again in a good home matchup against the San Jose Sharks. I mentioned this last week about Noah Dobson. We saw him take significant strides last year from his rookie season. Seems like he's going to be doing that this year in year 3 as well. He now has 2 goals in his first 2 games to start the year, a goal in each each game, 8 shots on net, and he just plays in all situations. He plays on the number 1 power play, plays on the penalty kill, should log about 22 plus minutes, and a guy who can really rack up DraftKings points in a number of different ways. Another defenseman who's getting it done in a number of different ways to start this year is Mikhail Sergachev of the Tampa Bay Lightning. We've now seen him rack up 2 assists, 6 shots on net, and 10 block shots in his first 3 games, hitting double-digit DraftKings points in every single game. Yeah, he had 9.9 last game, but I'm rounding up, and that's what you're looking for out of a guy priced at $4,200. Should log about 22 plus minutes here tonight himself, play on that number 2 power play, and play on the penalty kill as well. And then to wrap up the defenseman here, I'm going back to another Islanders defenseman in Alexander Romanov, playing with his new team after being traded from the Montreal Canadiens this offseason. He has been a shot-blocking machine in his first 2 games, having 9 block shots in his first game and 5 in his second, getting you that 3-point DraftKings bonus in each of those games, and hitting 11 plus DraftKings points in both as well. Now, I do not expect him to have 9 plus block shots per game, but if he can get us 3 plus and get us that 3-point DraftKings bonus, I don't mind that at all at this price of $3,000. Now, I do have a handful of honorable mentions listed here in the notes as well. Klingberg there, talked about him earlier, could stack him up with Troy Terry and Zegras. Hanifin there of the Calgary Flames, Martinez of Vegas, Anderson of the Calgary Flames, who plays on the number 1 power play. You got Waugh there, or Roy, I don't know how they pronounce it, of the LA Kings. Severson there of the Devils, McNabb of Vegas Golden Knights, and Siegenthaler of the New Jersey Devils. All guys in the 2 to mid 4K range that I think have some solid value. And then I got a couple of goaltenders there for you, higher priced and mid-priced option. Starting with Ilya Sorokin there of the New York Islanders, kind of just like the Isles in general here tonight. Again, a good home matchup against the San Jose Sharks. Sorokin was a beast at home last year, even with a struggling Islanders team. We're seeing him pick up right where he left off last year at home. Now, he is just 1-1 to start this season, but has played well in both games, allowing just 3 goals on 51 shots on net. That's a save percentage of .941 and a goals allowed average of 1.52, so I definitely don't mind going back to him here, being that he is at home. And then a little cheaper option here in Logan Thompson. This is purely GPP for me, but I do think it's a little too cheap considering how well Vegas has played in their first 3 games, and although they're going on the road here, Thompson has been very good himself. He's 2-0 to start the year with a goals allowed average of 1.50 and a save percentage of .947, coming fresh off a shutout that he had against the Chicago Blackhawks. So again, purely GPP for me, but I do believe he's a little too cheap and likely going to be very low owned as well. And as always, we're going to wrap up this spreadsheet here with 3 low-priced options or sub 4K forward plays. First guy I got there is Nino Niederreiter of the Nashville Predators, who's off to a really good start with his new team, playing on that second line in number 2 power play. He's now racked up 4 goals through 4 games and has hit double-digit DraftKings points in every single one of those games. Next is Dawson Mercer, and there were a handful of guys on the New Jersey Devils in the 2 to 3K range that I could have gone with, but I looked at his stats, and although he's doesn't have a consistent role on the power play right now, I love the way that he's shooting the puck, and even more importantly, he's just playing big minutes. He is playing on the third line and very well could mix in on that number 2 power play tonight, but he has 5 plus shots on net in each of his first 2 games, getting you that 3-point DraftKings bonus, logging 16 plus minutes in each of those games as well, and I thought that was intriguing. And we gotta go back to Gabriel Velarde here of the Los Angeles Kings. This kid has treated us so well here in the first week of the season. Playing on that third line, it did get bumped up to that number 1 power play just last night against the Detroit Red Wings. He now has 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points through his first 4 games to start the season. His price is coming up just a little bit. He's not the bare minimum, but still very affordable and very cheap at $2,800. And then to wrap up this video here, want to talk a little prize picks with you guys. For starters, folks, if you have not signed up for prize picks yet, but are interested in doing so, I got a promo code that you should definitely take advantage of. When you're signing up, use my promo code GRIFF. GRIFF, and Prize Picks will give you all the way up to a $100 match deposit. And you don't have to put $100 in. You want to put in 50, they'll match 50. You want to put in 20, they'll match 20. They'll match anything up to $100. Again, as long as you're using my promo code GRIFF, GRIFF. upon signing up. Now, it's the same song and dance here, everyone. As I record this morning, they only have props out for one game. We have an 8-game slate. I want to see the rest of these props before I give you my final picks in the comments below on this video, and again, I'll be sure to pin that comment. But for those of you who have not taken advantage of this free prop on the NBA side of things, you have 11 and a half hours to take advantage of it. Steph Curry, 98% off. He literally needs to score 1 point, and you win that pick. So definitely take advantage of it. That will expire here tonight. All right, everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks. Let's win some money on this 8-game slate. I'm out of here.